There's one skill that will take you further in life than any other. Sometimes it can mean survival. Oftentimes, it's a difference between surviving and thriving. That skill is negotiation. You may have heard some advice on how to negotiate before. Maybe you heard how negotiation is a tool to always get what you want. Or maybe you understand that it's a way to compromise and pick the lesser of two evils. But what if I told you that you were thinking about negotiation the wrong way? What if I told you that negotiation was not about winning or compromising, but an entirely different outcome? I'm Gabo, and this is the Art of Listening podcast. First, let's talk about winning and why it's not the best strategy. Imagine a small, specialized manufacturer who just landed a huge order from a major distributor. The distributor knew the small business was desperate for the volume and used that leverage. They demanded a 40% price cut and exclusive terms, threatening to walk away unless the manufacturer agreed immediately. The manufacturer reluctantly agreed, wiping out the entire profit margin. The distributor won this single deal, but the manufacturer was left feeling manipulated and refused to renew the contract or work with the distributor again. That short-term predatory win cost the distributor a long-term valuable partner. If you only try to win in negotiation, you may win a single deal, but you will lose a long-term relationships. And it's those relationships that will ultimately pay off in big ways. Now let's look at compromising and why it's often just as bad as trying to win. Picture two teams, marketing and engineering, negotiating a budget for a new product launch website. The marketing says, we need $16,000 for a full premium website to launch in 8 weeks. Engineering says, we can deliver a good site, but it needs a $10,000 budget and 12 weeks of testing. They compromise $13,000 and a 10-week deadline. On the surface, this feels fair, a 50-50 split. But look at the result. The marketing team has a compromised budget, so they cut a crucial feature and have delayed the launch to 10 weeks. The site is buggy, and the campaign fails. They feel they lost because they couldn't get the quality they needed in time. The engineering team is forced to work overtime for 10 weeks, straining their budget and morale. They feel they lost because they burned out their team for a project that failed anyway. This compromise didn't solve the core problem. It only split the pain. Compromising often leads to both sides of a negotiation feeling like the loser. It often leads to the least ideal result. Why do we default to these actions? From a behavioral economics perspective, your brain sees the tension of a negotiation as a threat. This triggers a primitive defense cascade in your nervous system, where the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, overrides the rational prefrontal cortex. This neural downshift pushes you into a primal fight or flight response. Winning is the fight response, an aggressive attempt to dominate the threat. Compromising is the flight response, an emotional attempt to minimize the conflict and escape the uncomfortable situation. But both are emotional reactions, not rational strategies for success. To understand the proper way to negotiate, we must first understand why we negotiate. Negotiation is a form of communication, not manipulation. It's all about understanding the wants and needs of the other party. This means shifting your focus from position to interest. A position is what someone says they want. For example, $16,000 for the website. An interest is the underlying reason why they want it. For example, we need a high-quality website that won't fail the campaign. A strong negotiator focuses entirely on uncovering this deeper interest. The most powerful tool you have for this is simply asking, why is that important to you? When you understand the why behind the what, you can stop trying to manipulate the person into agreeing with your position and start cooperating to meet both of your needs. Imagine the following scenario. Two people are fighting over a single orange. They compromise and cut it in half. One person eats the fruit and throws away the peel. The other uses the peel for baking and throws away the fruit. If they had uncovered the interest, one in the fruit versus peel, instead of fighting over the position, the whole orange, they both could have had 100%. Finding the hidden interest of the other party is crucial, but it requires bypassing the brain's threat detection system. We can't just demand information. Instead, we need to create a feeling of psychological safety. How do we do this? We do this through tactical empathy. This isn't about being overly nice or manipulative. It's about the conscious application of emotional intelligence to demonstrate that you understand their perspective. You can achieve this using two core techniques. Mirroring. Simply repeat the last few words or the critical 1 to 3 words of what the other person just said. This encourages them to keep talking and signals that you are listening closely. Labeling. Acknowledge their feelings or the situation by starting with phrases like "it seems like" or "it sounds like." This validates their emotions and helps de-escalate the amygdala's threat response. The traditional approach of trying to win a negotiation often destroys valuable long-term relationships. And compromising frequently results in a split where neither party is satisfied. To truly succeed, you must shift your perspective from rigid positions to underlying interests. By viewing negotiation as a form of collaborative communication rather than manipulation, you can create partnerships where both sides find value. You've learned how to find hidden interest and create psychological safety, allowing you to turn winning and compromising into collaboration. But what if your counterparty isn't interested in collaboration? What if you encounter a hostile negotiator? Someone who aggressively demands concessions, insults your position, and threatens to walk away. When you face an aggressive ultimatum that feels like a non-starter, the rules completely change. This type of high-stake, high-conflict scenario requires a completely different set of tools and a much more advanced approach. In the next video, we'll uncover the strategy you need to handle aggressive, hostile negotiators and turn their strongest demands into your biggest advantage. I'm Gabo, and this is the Art of Listening podcast. Thank you for watching.